If you clicked on this video because the title made you feel called out, good, you're in the right place. Let me see if this sounds familiar to you. You've got an idea for a novel. It's kind of burning in your brain. But every time you actually try to sit down and start writing something, it just feels impossible. You procrastinate, you find something to clean, something else to do. Maybe you try getting a pad of paper or opening up WordPad and you go, okay, I'm going to start. I'm finally going to start. And then 10 minutes later, you open TikTok or you get on Netflix or YouTube. And you label this laziness. But what if I told you that that's kind of telling yourself a lie? That you aren't actually lazy, but you're experiencing a reaction to pain that you may not even realize you're in, that you're experiencing. In this video, I want to go into how you're not really lazy. I want to talk about why writing fiction can be so uniquely difficult for our brains, and how new tools, AI, can remove friction that is preventing you from finally writing without removing your creativity. How do I know about this? Because I lived through it. Ever since I was a little kid, I had trouble falling asleep. So I would tell myself stories. I would build worlds and characters and tell stories in my head just to relax. So for me, the imagination part is something that I've been building up since I was very young. But actually taking those thoughts, those stories in my head and putting them onto paper or into a document file, that kind of felt like pulling teeth. For a long time, I felt like I was broken, that I just didn't have the discipline to be a writer, or that there was something wrong with me, that I just couldn't do it. I had all these things in my head and just was not in the cards for me to ever actually be able to write anything. It wasn't until I understood what I want to talk to you about and was able to leverage modern technology, AI tools, to compensate for the weaknesses that I was struggling with, that things changed for me. Today, I have self-published 5 different novels. And it's not a matter of suddenly I became less lazy. It's just that I learned how to stop fighting myself. So now I want to kind of take apart the word lazy. What it actually means when you're thinking, I'm too lazy to be a writer. I'm too lazy to write a story, a novella, a novel. Usually what this means is that you are experiencing one of 4 things. The first is overwhelm, from having vague goals. If you just sit down with pen and paper, pencil and paper, or a Word doc or other program, just with this vague idea, write a story, it's kind of scary. You know, where do you start? The second thing that a lot of people run into problems with is perfection paralysis, which is really a fear. It's a fear of writing something bad. Except that everybody runs into bad samples of writing. I've mentioned it in other videos, but I like to use it as a reference for this. Ernest Hemingway famously rewrote the ending to A Farewell to Arms over 40 times. because he wasn't satisfied with it until he finally got to where he was satisfied with it. That's part of what being a writer is. There is no perfect. There's only what you're satisfied with. 3. Energy mismatch. You sit down and try to have the writing output of someone like Stephen King, who notoriously will write far more than he needs for a novel, and you're trying to do that when you have a full-time job and kids. It's not going to happen. But really, I think the biggest killer of the dream is decision fatigue. It's trying to gather all the things that go into writing a novel at one time. Most people, when they first try to write something, they don't think about just how many decisions have to be made before you can actually tell a story. It's every single sentence you have to write. Your brain has to answer all these questions. What happens next? Is this any good? Does this character's voice sound right? Does this fit the theme that I'm going for? What words should I use here? You're making so many of these little micro decisions constantly. And it's exhausting. So you're going through this kind of brain fatigue trying to get through all of these decisions, and it becomes a kind of a pain. Your brain is experiencing this and it goes, whoa, I don't like this. Stop doing it. Go do something easier. It's your brain protecting you. It's not laziness. It's cognitive exhaustion, brain fatigue. And it can happen before you even type the first words or write the first words, because you're already struggling to decide, what am I going to write about? Professionals don't necessarily write better than you, though it is a skill that you have to develop over time. What they have done is to develop systems that allow them to reduce the number of decisions that they have to make at any given time to something that's manageable. Now, before we continue, I want you to take a moment. Maybe even pause the video. I want you to look at the 4 barriers again. Okay? And I want you to tell me in the comments which one is your biggest enemy. Is it decision fatigue? Or is it one of the others? Okay? Let me know. So now we can get into some solutions. How do we combat the decision fatigue, which usually leads to all the others, if we're being honest here? Well, the first step is to break things into bite-sized chunks. And one of the ways that you can do that helps a lot, and has helped me a lot, is using AI. Not to take over from you. People think it's cheating, it's stealing. It's not. And if you think that AI is going to be some magic button to spit out a finished novel for you, that's wrong. Okay? If you really, truly want to write something, AI is not going to be a replacement. It's going to be your tool, your assistant. So let's consider it in terms of all those decisions that were paralyzing you. You can offload lots of them to things like random name generators and AI. so you can preserve your energy for the real creativity, the high level decisions. When I find myself staring at a blank page and I don't know what happens next, I don't start scrolling through my phone. I say, okay, I'm running into a roadblock here. I need to overcome this block. So what I do is that I open up ChatGPT usually when I'm brainstorming and say, this is what I'm working on. Give me some ideas for what happens next, or who this character is. Whatever it is that I'm running into a roadblock for. That's when I use the AI to do brainstorming. Okay? And a lot of the time it'll give me a whole bunch of terrible ideas. Taken as a whole. But that's not the point. The point is that now I'm not just staring at my notes trying to think of something. I'm able to react. I'm able to edit. I can look at all of these ideas that the AI has given me and say, no, that's stupid. I don't like that. I don't like that. No, that is interesting. That I can work with. Okay? The AI isn't doing my work for me. It's acting as a brainstorming partner. One that never gets bored or gets mad because he didn't like its idea. Instead of becoming fatigued by decisions, I am able to look at something and make a decision and then act on what I liked or did not like. It breaks the paralysis. I can keep moving. So, to kind of wrap this up, a question that you probably are wondering is, if you use AI, is it really your book? Yes, because ultimately you're the one making all the decisions. You are the curator. The AI is just helping you. Whatever it is that you have trouble with, but it's still just helping you. You are the one making all the major decisions. You are the one who will do all the editing that will ultimately shape the story. So, I want you to stop thinking of yourself as being lazy, because you're not. You're just trying to run a marathon with weights on your ankles. And I want you to know that it's okay to take them off. Now, if you'd like to know some of the specific tools I use and some other resources that I have created that can help you on your journey, they are in the description. And I would like to end with this. I don't want you to let your stories, your unique view on whatever genre it is that you enjoy and would love to write a story in. I don't want you to let that die just because the process can be hard. Because there are ways to make it easier, to finally get your story told. Thank you for watching. I'll see you on the next one.